Welcome, guys. Welcome back. It's your boy DELRAY Richardson, platinum artist, platinum songwriter, straight game TV. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. The stories are so identical and so similar. They're basically saying that it's hard not to believe it. Let's talk about it, y'all. Wait for y'all to come up in here. Let's. Mm-hmm. LM, hello. What's happening? Johnny Mathis, what's up? We're gonna talk about it, y'all. Neparazzi Magazine, John Serrano, La Ameria. Hi, Matthew. What's up? LB's in the house. Sherrod, Sir Jackson, what's going on? Thank y'all for coming and stopping by. I want to get into something. This is like it's too close for comfort when we talk about the situation. Um, I really, to be perfectly honest, I really didn't look at Cassie's whole lawsuit when the situation was filed because the situation was settled so fast. But I had a look at it tonight, and it was something interesting to me in regards to the situation, in regards to what a little Rod said, and the young lady who was shot, Natania Rubin. As you can see her picture, when she was in the hospital, when she was shot in New York at the club in Midtown Manhattan, right? And according to her, right, Natanya Rubin, who was one of the three people shot, she said basically, listen, and this is the funny part about the bribery and everything that happened. She said, I literally watched them pull out the guns. I had a clear point of view. I mean, for God's sakes, I got shot in my nose. She said this earlier last week, last Thursday, if you will, on the News Nation. She said, I watch everything occur. I have described it vehemently to all parties involved. I have 9 bullet fragments remaining in my face. So the girl basically saying, Natanya Rubin basically saying that she has 9 bullet fragments still in her face, right? And she's saying she actually sat there and she said she watched Sean P. Diddy Combs pull out a gun and he was the one that shot her. But you know what is even more interesting than that? Like I said, I never really watched or saw the Cassie lawsuit, and I paid attention to like it was like 7 of the things that she was really, keying in on and alleging at that particular time. But the one thing that hit me the most, other than the situation involving, she basically said that P Diddy had forcibly made her uh, have sex with him at her house. Basically, she was saying that he had raped her from that perspective, and she didn't. I guess she didn't no longer want to be with him or whatever that was. That was one of the allegations, but which is serious in itself. But one of the other allegations that I paid attention to was Little Rod had said something in the lawsuit in regarding Diddy and Jennifer Lopez, and basically describing how um, Diddy had used Jennifer Lopez as some sort of a gun mule, if you want, if you say. Basically, Little Rod said that Diddy told him that yeah, he did the shooting and he made Jennifer Lopez basically carry his gun into the nightclub. How, I don't know, from that perspective. Um, but more importantly, And here it is. Jones in his lawsuit basically said Diddy openly bragged about committing the shooting and bribing witnesses and jurors to secure his acquittal. That's serious, man. And if they're going back and they looking over, you know, where any people bribe, looking at any kind of whatever they can find, you know, after all of these years have gone by, um, basically, Little Rod said in his lawsuit, um, that Diddy openly bragged about committing the shooting and bribing witnesses and juries to secure his acquittal. Mr. Combs shared that he was responsible for the shooting in the nightclub in New York. Little Rod said he also said that Diddy bragged about using Jennifer Lopez to smuggle the gun into the club. Uh, he shared that artist and Mr. Combs' girlfriend at the time, Jennifer Lopez, aka J.Lo, carried the gun into the club for him and passed it to him, or passed him the gun after he got into an altercation with another individual, Little Rod said, right? Like I said, I really didn't pay attention to the Cassie lawsuit because it was settled so fast. You know, a lot of people jumped on it. I really didn't have anything to say about it. I thought it was interesting, you know, and it says that it had a lot of merit that it was settled in the short time that it was settled. But then I looked at it and I looked at it and something hit me. I was like, these stories, these similar stories, and a pattern of behavior, if you will. In Cassie's lawsuit, Cassie basically said that Sean P. Diddy Combs would make her carry his gun in her purse to make to show her how dangerous he was. And for that, she was petrified and scared and intimidated, and all of the other things that you possibly could think of from that perspective. Now, here's two incidents, two women. You know, Little Rod is, you know, telling his story in reference to what he's saying Sean P. Diddy Combs told him. So you can take that as a you could say hearsay from that perspective, right? But then when you go to Cassie's situation, and then the story, it sounds so similar, and rightfully so. Little Rod's attorney could have looked at that and say, yeah, you know, well, we're gonna say X, Y, and Z about, you know, what Diddy allegedly told you about the situation in New York and getting away. And then sometimes people do. They get under alcohol, they get under drugs, and they start bragging and, you know, talking tough or whatever you want to call it. But the Cassie situation, and her saying, yeah, unlike Jennifer Lopez, because remember, in the situation involving the shooting in New York, the driver of the SUV that was the driver for Diddy and J.Lo basically said that he was offered a $50,000 bribe, basically to say the gun was his and in his car, right? This had came out in the trial, if you will. And so, who had the gun in the Diddy situation? You know, and basically saying that, asking the driver of their car to basically say that the gun was his and offered him $50,000. But the real truth of the matter, of anything that could be more criminal than anything, and like I said, once again, allegations still from Cassie, but someone who had felt like she was wronged, had felt like she was hurt. She said that she was abused. She said that she was stomped. She said that she was kicked. And she named a whole bunch of other allegations about somebody's car being blown up and all of these other things that happened, right? But Cassie admitted, and I think this is what gave her credibility, her civil lawsuit so much credibility, and it was basically settled so quickly because, you know, once you get a chance to keep looking at it longer and longer and longer, then you're able to sit back and digest what it is that she's actually alleging. And this is someone who you can see in pictures, who seems like she had a pretty good relationship with Sean P. Diddy Combs at one time. And so when you think about that, her saying that, yeah, he made me carry his gun um in my purse, and then Little Rod coming out and basically reiterating a similar story as to what he had heard Sean P. Diddy Combs bragging about for the time that he had spent around him, the year or so that he lived with him, right? So I think this is very interesting, and the feds are looking into all of this. The young lady, Natanya Rubin, she's basically saying, yo, she'll do whatever it takes to open the case back up, whatever it takes that what needs to be done to open the case back up, if you will. Um, like I said, Sean P. Diddy Combs' lawyer, Sean Holly, basically said, this is all lies. But then you go to, once again, you go to California again, and then at the Chalice recording studio, where producer Little Rod Jones claims a man was shot. This is once again gunplay, if you will, from that perspective. Um, and it was a young man by the name of Little G. Once again, here's another gunplay situation, right? In which Little Rod saying, yo, Sean P. Diddy Combs and his son was in the bathroom with this guy. The guy was shot, and so on and so forth. Nothing ever happened with that. As a matter of fact, it didn't even really make the news, if you want to be perfectly clear from that perspective, right? And so you gotta, it's kind of sad, man. It's kind of sad, man. You sit back and you think about this man, a guy who Sean P. Diddy Combs, who has so much success and has done some good things. But then you kind of look at, when I looked at that Cassie lawsuit, I was like, oh wow. It just it kind of opened up another chapter of thought process when you think about somebody from that perspective. And you think about, there's a video of Sean P. Diddy Combs in the studio, and there's two young men sitting in between him sitting on the couch, and one of the young men reads some kind of text or something like that. And then Sean P. Diddy Combs, he looks down the couch and he said, yeah, because I run this shit, and it's like, if you got to tell somebody that you run this shit because you really run this shit, then there's a problem. You understand what I'm saying? Because what's understood doesn't have to be explained, especially if you're paying everybody and taking care of the business like you need to. And then I go back to the Hollywood situation, and where the young man Sean P. Diddy Combs was dressed up as the Joker in Hollywood, and I don't know what happened, but when the camera came on, Sean P. Diddy Combs was, I don't know if it was a toy gun or whatever. He was scraping across the ground talking about, you know who I am? You know who I am? I'll bust your shit, And the dude was like, who are you? Who are you? Now I don't know if he know if that was Sean Puffy Combs in the costume or not, right? But like I said, and then Sean Puffy Combs was like, yeah, the vibe, the energy you sending off, like, you know what I mean? Um, and so on and so forth. You know, I guess a lot of people are used to cowering around that based on, the money, the power, and all of the other things. And then you take everything into consideration and you start to consider things, and this is what the feds are looking at. They looking at all of that, you know. Um, and when you start to do that, like, you don't see Jeff Bezos, running around doing stuff like that. You don't see people with money running around doing stuff like that, right? Even though they may have their own little thing or whatever they got going on, they don't make spectacles like that, right? And when P. Diddy Combs was rubbing the gun across the ground in that video, in that Hollywood video, I was like, oh wow. It made me, take a couple steps back. Like, okay, this guy, he really, he really be on it like that. Like, and then I seen the other one when two young men were sitting beside him and he was on the couch and was like, okay, then you read the Cassie lawsuit, and then you like, oh wow. And then comes the Little Rod lawsuit and all of the things that he's alleging and the shooting that we never knew nothing about. Then the young lady comes out, Natanya Rubin, and she comes back out and basically saying, yeah, he was the person that shot me. And I don't think, to be perfectly honest, that Sean P. Diddy Combs meant to shoot her. Like I said, but but it happened. And there was a civil lawsuit that was settled. But the Cassie thing, I go back to that. I was like, wow. 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 And yeah. I could see why a lot of people are now, looking at this situation differently than they looked at it before. Looked at it, you know what I mean? Then like I say, I always go back. Then now you go back to the Tupac situation. They talking about trying to open up the young lady, Natanya Rubin, and you talking about the feds now, not the state. That other situation was a state situation, a New York State situation. But now you're talking about the feds trying to open up something in regards to, and they got a long list of laws that they can go on about, and like I said, then you go into, like I said, once again, the Tupac situation. And there's a pattern here, and they basically saying of a guy who's been getting away with a lot of things, and old school hustler said to me one time, he said, man, the last thing any person want to do who might be breaking the law is what any undercover officer never wants to do, and that's blow their cover. You see what I mean? And so a lot of times for when you talk about things like Sean Puffy Combs, like he got yo Puff, and if you listening, man, you got a lot of money, you got a lot of influence, right? You got beautiful children. You know what I mean? And yeah, the allegations that came out with Cassie, that was one thing. But then Little Rod. And then now, if people were to forget, because the news cycle that we live in makes people forget about things real fast. Now, they said your future look good. When they say your future look good, but your background is killing you. You see what I'm saying? Then you got people coming out making all of these other accusations about things that have happened. The young man getting shot in Hollywood. Little Rod said he was there for that, And see, you can talk about the law, the law of the land, if you will, and being investigated. But there's nature's law. There's nature's law. There's a thing called karma that a lot of people don't really believe in. And, I won't say that it's bad for Sean P. Diddy Combs. Only he knows. Only he knows. But, and then the thing about the powerful people that Little Rod talked about being on tape, all of these things culminating into one big snowball of an event. Now, I don't know. Like I said, when they went to his houses, I don't know if they got anything or not. You know what I mean? Like I said, I don't wish bad on him or anything like that. But like I say, you reap what you sow. You reap what you sow. And no amount of money, as we've seen with different individuals, can keep you away from destiny, if you will. Like Tupac's destiny was his destiny, when you think about that. And then you go into that, and then you go into everything that happened. And like I said, once again, when you rub certain people the wrong way, powerful people the wrong way, a lot of people have been saying it has something to do with that liquor thing. I don't think that has anything to do with that, because what they did was they settled that case, and they actually bought the brand from Sean P. Diddy Combs, settled it, gave him the money, and they basically done with that. That company right there sells so much liquor. The money was irrelevant. They just wanted to be done, and they didn't want their name being or their brand name being drugged through the mud with any kind of allegations that was associated with Sean P. Diddy Combs from that perspective. So when a lot of people talk about that, I tend to disagree. So yeah, and like I said, Carl, I wouldn't even say what goes around comes around. That's a little bit too much of a cliche-ish term from that perspective, because what goes around don't always exactly come around. But like I said, when you plant certain seeds and certain energy, and just the same thing that Sean P. Diddy Combs told the young man in Hollywood when he was dressed up like a Joker, he said, the energy you coming with. Sometimes people can be unconscious and be around people, and people not tell them that they coming with that same kind of energy. And because they have money, power, influence, and people around them that are not willing to tell them the right thing, they tend to be their own worst enemy. Like I said, with the Cassie situation, if there was anything, from because we basically had never heard anything other than that. Like I said, the only thing I had ever heard of that was Gene Deal talking about it on the Art of Dialogue about may she rest in peace, Kim Porter. And like I said, I don't know if that's true or not. I'm gonna let her rest in peace. But I met Sean P. Diddy Combs' son, King Combs, at the Tupac movie premiere. He seemed like a pretty respectful young man. You know what I mean? Very respectful, cool, whatever. And like I said, so it seems like they've been raised with manners and all of those things. But at the same time, right, when you deal with the fact of the matter that there's been so much um um or should I say the things that Cassie had said for someone who was once your woman, and her to come out and say those things. And I won't say that, oh, she wasn't participating or whatever, or agreeing to participate and so on and so forth. Um, but there was something that happened with her. I don't know if it was her having a baby by someone else that really made her look back and say, damn, or the situation that she was currently in that made her look back and say, this situation here that I'm in, and I have my new baby, this situation right here made me look at the situation that I was in and say, you know what? I was wronged. I was mistreated. And to see it for exactly what it is, because sometimes when you in it, you can't really see what it is that you in until sometimes you step away from it. And I think that she had a baby and all of those things, and then she came with the allegations. And to be able to be that honest after I looked at that lawsuit, to be that honest, to be that candid about her involvement, it said something different to me. It said something about uh a little bit more about who Sean P. Diddy Combs is as a person. And like I said, we all can redeem ourselves. I believe in redemption for everybody. But like I said, once again, um, when you walking around and you are saying to people on the street and it's being caught on the video, do you know who the fuck I am? You know, as if it weighs more than anything else that anybody else is at that particular time as a human being and as a person. I get the money aspect, I get the power aspect, I get all of that. I get the influence, I get the legacy, I get the history, I get the music, I get the money, I get all of that, right? Um, but it's like living in a movie, somebody saying, you know, from that perspective, when you think about that. So yeah, that part when the situation with Little Rod said that P. Diddy told him that he made Jennifer Lopez carry the gun into the club that night. And then, like I said, I had never looked at the Cassie situation. And then when I looked at it and I seen it, I was like, oh, wow. this story matches up with what Little Rod is saying. So it tends to give it a little bit of credibility from that perspective. Then you look at the situation with the young boy being shot in the studio and Little Rod saying he was there to witness what happened and how that happened. You better believe me that they talked to that young man. You better believe me that if they will tell him like, look, if you lied, you need to now tell us the truth about what happened, right? So I think that if there's anything plausible that can possibly come about, it's going to be the shooting of that young man. Yeah. I think, like I said, because see, number one, an eyewitness to what was happening and what happened right then and there, Little Rod said he was there for that. So if they go talk to that young man and that young man confesses and say, yes, I lied, I was scared, or they paid me off, or any of those things, anything remotely um, to that, then there you have it. It won't even have to be anything involved to all of the other stuff, all of the other allegations. I'm going to say it one more time. The situation at the studio where Little Rod said in the lawsuit that he was there, it was Sean P. Diddy Combs and his son in the bathroom with the young man, as we've seen in the pictures, and you've seen the blood on the floor, and you've seen all of that, right? And they basically told the young man to say that it was a drive-by shooting, if you will, right? All that young man has to say, all he has to say is that I lied. And tell the truth. If that was what the really truth was, what Little Rod said in the lawsuit, all he got to do is tell the truth. And if he said that, yeah, that's what happened. They were in the bathroom. This is what happened to me, and explains it like that's all. That's all that needs to happen. And so, when you think about when I say karma, right? And I say you looking at deeds and actions and things done to people, when you think about that's something that was never supposed to be. When you think about it, right? It was something that was never supposed to even see the day of light again, right? Think about this, y'all. Tell me, listen to me, man. The Cassie situation was the match igniting, if you will, as I just read, right? The Little Rod situation was the wind blowing and exacerbating the flame of the lighting of what Cassie did. And then you look back and the allegations that Little Rod made, like I said, now they're looking for something, anything. I gave you the Tupac scenario and the Keefe D. So there's so many other things when Sean P. Diddy Combs' name has been brought up, and so many other activities and things of that nature, dealing with violence, dealing with the mistreatment of a woman, dealing with just being a different individual than we know to be publicly. And then you see the sister who got shot in the face. And she's basically saying, look, I know who shot me. I seen who shot me at that particular time. Like I said, if you cannot do the time, don't do the crime. If you ain't the one, don't carry the gun. Because when it comes time to answer for that, right? Money's only going to take you so far. And like I said, if the young man who was shot at that studio and the investigators come to see him and say, look, man, he can ride with the drive-by shooting thing, and if they pull up any kind of cameras or things that they didn't do at first and so on and so forth, they go back and they talk to the people at the studio again. See, now you're talking about the federal government. Now you're talking about being under oath. Now you're talking about lying to investigators. And see, this is a different thing when you're dealing with like the LAPD or the regular police and things like that. It's a little bit different monster when you're dealing with the feds because they be snapping up perjury charges. They be doing a whole bunch of other stuff, right? So if the young man signs an affidavit and says, yes, that's what happened, you know, then that's all you need, among other things, like I said, once again. But looking at the Cassie lawsuit, looking at, them looking at the situation involving a young lady in New York, like I said, that when Keefe D trial starts, looking at what Keefe D is going to say, you can only imagine right now what Keefe D's lawyer is conjuring up, if you will. So all of those things that has Sean P. Diddy Combs' name involved in those things, involving violence, involving guns, involving people being hurt from that perspective. Like I said, I get the brother love thing now. I get that. Yeah, I get that. That's an attempt at, trying to clean up one's image, right? And that was before that was before the Cassie lawsuit, right? That was before the Cassie lawsuit. And then after that, the album went down the drain. It was no more listening. Who want to hear what, where, love what? From what she was saying, there was no love involved. It might have started off as love, but what I read, I was like, wow. You know what I mean? And then you would think that the money that he has, like, yo, I get it. I don't believe that 50 Cent baby mama's a sex worker. I don't believe that. But I can understand why 50 would be hurt. Like 50 joke around a lot, you know what I mean? 50, if you listening to this, man, and you get a chance to listen to this, I understand why you feel the way you feel. And you supposed to. You know what I mean? That's your son mother. And I'm sure you pay her child support, you give her money, you support her, you make sure she's good, you make sure he's good. To hear that it would involve anything like that, whether we know to be true or not, right? Yeah. And they had their own problems. Everybody has their problems, you know what I mean? But, as a man, you can understand, any man that can understand, like, yo, you hear something that about, somebody that you cared about, somebody that you love, somebody that you brought a child into this world with, you're gonna be hurt. You're gonna be hurt, because you have an image, and it was through you that she really, gained popularity. She became someone notable and so on and so forth. And so to hear that about her, I know he joke about it a lot, but it hurt. It hurt. You know what I mean? At the end of the day. But you get past it. But like I said, once again, I don't believe that about her. People do what they do. But yeah, so that's what made me look at this situation like kind of like totally different. The Cassie situation. I did, like I said, I never looked at the lawsuit, but I looked at the lawsuit yesterday. I was like, oh wow. And then now I see why, Little Rod and them would, first it was about the 50,000, and then, Little Rod probably seen a few things and experienced some things that he thought was unbecoming, which he has a right to do, right to say. I don't know if he's telling the truth. I don't know if he's lying. But it is what it is. But I do know this. The young man who was shot at that studio, the young lady who was shot in New York, Tupac Shakur who was shot in Las Vegas, right? Cassie, who said that she was a person who was forced to carry Sean P. Diddy Combs' guns to show her how dangerous he was in her purse, right? There's a problem, man. And for brother love, if you want to be brother love, man, man, I don't know. I really couldn't tell you about that one. That's a whole nother thing, man. You know, like I said, Sean P. Diddy going got beautiful children, man. Yeah, I think that's the most when you think about life and you think about, I guess you get to a certain age and then you kind of be like, you know what? It's kind of all about your kids now. It's all about that now. It's all about this now. But like I said, that Halloween video kind of put it on for me. I was like, oh, he was like, do you know who the fuck I am? I'll bust your shit. Like, oh, like really? I'm like, oh, okay. Like, wow, you know. And dude didn't seem like he wanted none of that. You know what I mean? From that perspective. Um, and then I go to the Columbus Short interview. I watched that over again because I needed more context as to what that meant and what he was saying. And Columbus Short, a grown ass man, had to admit that he went to the party, and the party was in Atlanta, in a big mansion or whatever, whatever, and he was given a drink. I'm not saying that Sean P. Diddy Combs did anything because I don't think he got the drink from him, so I'm not gonna give him that charge. But he said he got a drink. He said after he drank the drink, he started feeling woozy. He said he was with his manager. He ran to the bathroom, put his fingers in his throat, and made himself throw up. And he was feeling kind of woozy. He said his manager came, knocked on the bathroom door, and asked him, was he all right? He was like, yeah, I'm all right. He's like, yo, he's like, the driver's still out there. He was like, yo, let's get up out of here. He said, as he walked to the door, everybody was kind of in the vestibule, like, you know, where you going? Where you going, Columbus? He's like, yeah, I got to be on set early tomorrow, and left. And he said that when he left, the only thing that he could think about was something about how he saved his booty hole or something like that. Amazing. Man, look, I don't know. This is a little bit. And like I say, when you got grown men saying that, we're not talking about Lil Rod no more. We're talking about grown men who've worked in Hollywood, who've done movies, who we've seen on the big screen. Yeah, yeah, and so on and so forth. Yeah, yeah. Gene Deal has said that about the party at John. Gene Deal has said that about the party at the night Biggie had got killed. The party at the Peterson Automotive Museum that somebody had allegedly peed in some kind of champagne bottle or something like that in regards to what that was. It's too many. Like then you have Mark Curry coming out saying the same thing. He come out. He said, "Yo, these bottles over here was for the girls, which was laced with whatever was in the bottles, and these bottles over here, this is for everybody else. You know what I mean? But don't touch these bottles over here because these is for the girls." You know, like I said, I don't know how to corroborate that, if you will. But all I know is that people that were close to Sean Puffy Combs right now are coming out. They talking. Um, the motivation, I don't know, but they're talking, and it just does not sound good at this particular times because all of the stories seem similar in nature. And it's like if you hear three people saying the same thing about somebody, people tend to start to believe what they're hearing. And I know, like I said, once again, people like to run rumors and things like that and tell certain stories and stuff like that. But reading the Cassie lawsuit, her admitting about she was raped by Sean P. Diddy Combs at her house, right? Her admitting that she was forced to carry his guns in her purse to show her how dangerous he was. Her admitting that him hearing about Suge Knight being at some location, a restaurant or something like that, and grabbing his gun and wanting to go get at Suge and so on and so forth. All of those things, right? These things are what you call intimate knowledge of a situation and being close to somebody. And then now you go to the young lady in New York. Basically, now, like I say, your past starts to be brought up, against you now, you know, or what people kind of overlooked before, they now have a microscope too, if you will. Oh, She was like, I got 9 bullet fragments in my face. And, I'll do exactly what it takes to make this case come back alive, because she felt like she never received justice. James Ratcliffe, what's happening? Carla Shepard, what's happening? June Askew, what's up? So yeah, like I said, I just wanted to bring that because I didn't see but the Jennifer Lopez story about, you know, her Lil Rod telling, Sean P. Diddy Combs telling Lil Rod that, yeah, I made Jennifer Lopez carry the gun into the club. And, when the beef started or whatever, she passed me the gun, blah, blah, blah. That story right there matches up with what Cassie was saying. Janine Hollis was happening. Fatima Barrett was happening. So like I said, yeah, it just takes one of those things. But like I said, the focal point and the most egregious thing is they're gonna look back at that LAPD case involving that little boy, being shot at that studio. I guarantee you they're gonna look at that. They looking back at that. They saying, man, because think about it. They saying somebody was arrested for that, or if you will, from that perspective. But I don't know. Like I said, according to before this civil lawsuit by Lil Rod, nobody knew anything about that shooting. You know what I mean? It was swept underneath for the rug. And so now we heard about it. Now we're gonna see what happens. Like I said, Lil Rod said he was there in the studio. He heard the gunshots and went in the bathroom and took a picture. And the funny part, they were saying that the shooting happened outside the studio or something like that. And then when you go over to the studio, you see the 3 layers of security to get inside the studio, right? But yet Little Rod was able to take pictures of the blood in the bathroom. And not blood like going into the studio, coming from outside into the studio, dripping on the listening. Just things like that. This is gonna be, certain things you can look at, like I say once again. And so yeah, that's the crazy part. I was like, wow. So how did he get the pictures from the bathroom with the blood and all of that then? You know what I mean? So yeah, like I said, once again, but yeah, I just thought I, wanted to talk to you guys. What you guys think about it? Did y'all see the lawsuit versus what Lil Rod said versus what Cassie said in her lawsuit about carrying a gun? Then what Lil Rod said that P. Diddy allegedly told him. Like I said, don't know if it's true or not. Yeah. But Miss Matthews, I totally understand by what you're saying about the industry being complicit in the cover up, right? That's a big push to say the industry, because like I say, a lot of times it's business and they don't want certain people to fall. True. But like I said, there's only so much you can do to do that from that perspective. Just like Cat Williams had talked about, what's his name? What's the guy name, man, that used to Harvey Weinstein, right? Like Harvey Weinstein. And let me tell you something. If you talking about power, like the Weinstein Corporation, like they were basically funding, all of anything that Oprah wanted to do. They were funding a lot of movies. Let me tell you something. They brought down Harvey Weinstein, right? They brought down what's the other guy name again? Um, Jeffrey Epstein, Weinstein, Epstein. Um, they brought both of them. They were very powerful people. Like I told everybody, J.P. Morgan actually settled a lawsuit because they were controlling or managing Harvey Weinstein's money. They settled a lawsuit in regards to um, them being complicit, or funding, or what looked like it was to be the funding of Jeffrey Epstein's his wrongdoings, if you will, right? And so when you think about that and you understand what that is, that's different from somebody in Universal Music Group or Lucian Grange or somebody like that. They were not funding anything that was um that they knowingly knew about anything going on like that. I just don't believe that. You can believe it. Like I said, people believe what they want to believe. I'm not here to tell you what to believe. But when you think about that from that perspective, yeah, I think that's a whole nother world, if you will, in that. Now, if it was something secretive, different, or something like that, then I would tend to give that some credibility. But at the end of the day, I don't give that any credibility. You know, yeah, Bernie Madoff was a different thing. Bernie Madoff was running a total Ponzi scheme. You know what I mean? That's not. But Harvey Weinstein and Jeffrey Epstein, those situations were different because they involved the situations involving what they involved, right? Puffy situation, I mean, there people are categorizing it as that, but that has yet to come out to be what that is from that perspective, if you will. You know, what we the people that were named in the lawsuit and the amending complaint in the lawsuit was 50 Cent baby mama, another girl, and some other girl. You know what I mean? And I can understand that, but that does not seem like something that was forced upon them. That seemed like something they were willing to do, and they would pay to be whatever, if that's the truth. I don't know if that's the truth or not, but whether they were being paid or not, they were being paid to be his woman, to be at his ready, at his his beck and call, if you will, from that perspective. And that was something that was voluntarily done. I don't think that he made them do it. You know what I mean? Things like that. Yeah, I mean, like I said, right. But like I said, Jersey Rick, when you say that, of course, that's been going on in the world for a long time. In Hollywood, yes, for a long time. But um, but I'm not ready to paint people with a broad brush according to that. You know what I mean? I understand what you're saying though, but that has nothing to do with Sean P. Diddy Combs. That has nothing to do with you if you was working in Hollywood. That has nothing to do with me if I'm, working in Hollywood in the music business and people, you know, think whatever they want to think. Perfectly cool if that's what they want to think, you know? But like I said, what's an accusation or an allegation is simply that until proven otherwise. But I'll tell you this, when those charges come, if they do come down, right? Like they came down on Harvey Weinstein, like they came down on Jeffrey Epstein, like they came down on Bill Cosby, like they came down on Mike Tyson, like they came down on Tupac Shakur, right? When those charges come down, then one must be ready to answer and pay for the deeds that they may have done wrong if proven that they've done them wrong. And I don't think at that particular time there's no amount of money, as we've seen with Jeffrey Epstein, Harvey Weinstein, and everybody else, that's going to be able to change that once a jury says guilty. You understand what I'm saying? And so that's the thing that one must really understand, um, for real. Yeah. What you mean Tupac was around hella feds? What does that mean? What you mean? Undercover people when they were investigating death row? Yeah, everybody. I'm gonna say everybody know that, but most of the people know that. But that was unknowingly. He was around people like that. You know, at the end of the day, like I said, Tupac situation. What I mean by that is the situation in New York involving the sexual assault thing. When the problem came down, and we see that there was really no real evidence behind that. When the case, panned out, everybody seen like, oh, they said that he did this, but it was something else. Then he really didn't do that. But you know, yeah. Well, it's not even what we believe, Nandy Johnston. Like I say, at the end of the day, is um what was going on in that courtroom. There was nobody that could go in the courtroom and yell, no, he didn't do it. And they would listen to that. It's basically at that particular time, who can tell the best story? And at that particular time, she couldn't tell the best story. And everybody knows that now after her going on Vlad, right? And Tupac had always denied that situation until the day he died. Like, no, I would never do that. You know what I mean? Being in jail for something that, I know I didn't do, and so on and so forth. So we know when they have an axe to grind, meaning the justice system, the system overall, when they have an axe to grind, oh, they good at grinding the axe. And they good at, putting on the Banana Republic trial and things like that, making a person look more guilty than they actually are, controlling the narrative in the media, and doing all of these other things. So that's why I said, one has to be real careful about the information that they take in when dealing with certain situations. Most people trying to say, "Oh yeah, I'm taking up for Sean P. Diddy Combs." No, I like to look at things with an open mind. you know a lot of people dive into situations like this thinking that they know the person is guilty and so on and so forth, and based on the information from YouTube videos and a few of the news outlets and things that they said. I choose not to think that way because I understand how the system works. I understand how people can get railroaded, that they can create a narrative. Somebody could come out and say you did something that you really didn't do, and it's you guilty depending on who you are. Depending on who you guilty until you prove yourself innocent. You understand what I'm saying? And so with that being said, I mean, look how many years it took to get Jeffrey Epstein, you know, and then when they got him, it was like, oh wow, you know, Harvey Weinstein. But who knew? you know. So when you think about the Tupac and the Mike Tysons and the Bill Cosbys, and like I said, once again, people don't remember the situation with Bill Cosby, and I'm not speaking to Bill Cosby's innocence or guilt. Let me say it again. People don't remember that the prosecutor on who was running for prosecutor, basically he made it his mandate that once he got elected as the prosecutor, that he was going to prosecute Bill Cosby. Most people don't remember that, right? And when he got elected, that's what he did. So, like I said, once again, understanding when somebody might have a vendetta, understanding, when somebody have actually wronged somebody, like the Cassie situation, which she was talking about in her lawsuit. As I looked at that, I felt like, damn, this young lady was wronged, and she was young. When she got with P. Diddy, like I said, and a lot of people look at the things, they look at oh, when she was living a lifestyle and all of that, man, there's no amount of money worth your dignity, man. You know what I mean? There's no amount of money. People getting caught up. Oh, she was living, because, you got a lot of people with broke mentalities, talking like that from that perspective. You know, what up, Terrell Bonds? So yeah, it's crazy. Y'all need to stop. Y'all Combs team. Nah, I mean, like I said, do I think Sean P. Diddy Combs is Jeffrey Epstein? No. Come on, no. No. I mean, like I said, I think that was something put in the lawsuit to try to give the lawsuit an extra little punch, right? You know what I mean? He was running an Epstein like thing, like whatever. And you know what I mean? And to be perfectly honest, most people who didn't even follow the Jeffrey Epstein thing didn't even know what Jeffrey Epstein was running. You know what I mean? Because he was his whole little thing was he was faking off the little massage parlor type deal, like, oh, come give a massage and all of this, that, and the other, and so on and so forth. So people like to, I choose not to entertain stuff like that. Like, yo, Sean P. Diddy Combs is Sean P. Diddy Combs. And his situation, as we will see what happens. Like I said, nothing might not happen. And the indictment could come tomorrow. You know what I mean? We just never know. You know what I'm saying? And so with that being said, I seen the pictures him down in Florida. You know what I mean? You know, he seemed like he living his life. He's moved on with his life despite what has just happened. And you know, yeah, like I said, I don't. Miss Matthews, you something. Yeah, yeah, they said that too at Turkish bathhouses or whatever that is. Um, See, once again, Outlaw Josie, when you say stories out there, you can't give a lot of stuff credibility though. You know what I mean? I don't give stories out there credibility. like I said, I showed y'all that the black jet that they were saying that P. Diddy Combs was on, you had news organizations saying P. Diddy Combs is on the run, and none of that was true. None of that was true. And so, like I said, I implore people to think for yourself. You know what I mean? And reserve judgment until you see the facts. And like I said, because what's going to happen, whether you think it's bad, good, or indifferent, going to happen anyway. You know, I don't know Puffy work with the feds. I wouldn't know anything about that. But like I said, the situation with Keefe D, Tupac, the situation with the young lady, um, being shot in New York, the situation with Cassie, saying that she was forced to hold a gun, the situation with Jennifer Lopez with Lil Rod saying that P. Diddy told him that he made Jennifer Lopez hold a gun. Like all of these things are coming up. And like I say, they looking at all of them. So I don't think it's, when a person's looked at like that, you know, Sean P. Diddy Combs' career is over. It's over. It's over. Like I said, a lot of people were saying that he sold his shares of Revolt. Don't nobody know that. TMZ was reporting that. Nobody really knew that. Like I said, still don't nobody know. You know what I mean? So yeah. I don't think it's a witch hunt. I think it is, like I say, it's par for the course, man. It's par for the course. Like I say, if you ain't doing nothing like that, or you letting people into your business like that, nothing like this is gonna come out. You know what I mean? Like I told y'all before, Little Rod as a producer was supposed to be a producer. He was not supposed to be involved in any other personal activity involving Sean P. Diddy Combs. Little Rod said that he lived with Sean P. Diddy Combs, right? If I'm producing on somebody's album, I'm not living in your house with you. I'm going home, or I'm going back to a hotel, and all of these things gonna be arranged. And I'm not living at your house. I don't want to live at your house. I don't care how big your house is. You know what I mean? And especially knowing the atmosphere around what that is and what they're saying that was, I definitely don't want to live at your house. You know what I mean? Like, why? No, I got 5 rooms. No, I'm good, man. You know what I mean? Get me the room at the Motel 8 or the Motel 6 or something. I'm good. You know what I mean? It might not be the 5-star hotel, but I got peace of mind, and I know I'm gonna be safe, and I know can't nobody get in the room. You know what I'm saying? From that perspective, I'm good. I don't want to be at your house. I don't want, the parties. Nah, I'm cool. I don't want nothing to drink. Don't get me no water. Let me get my own water. And I need to hear that little crackle thing when I open up the bottle of water. That little crackle thing, the little plastic little things that's on the thing that go clack, clack when you open the water. Yeah, I need to hear that too. Because if I don't hear that on the water, I'm not drinking it. You know what I mean? Like I said, Columbus Short, you know, um, and various other people, like I said, once again, who have talked about, situations involving that. That's just not a healthy look, man. It's not a healthy look. People look at you with a slant now, like, like, hold on, man, I don't know. And then there's a distrust, you know, a distrust that comes along with that. So yeah, but like I said, those stories are, the feds say they digging deep into it, man. And when you match up the stories, like, well, this story matches with this story. Well, let's go back and talk to this person. Let's go back and talk to this person. And like you said, the feds is different from the state, because the feds got unlimited funds. So when you talk about you going, they talk about how much money Sean P. Diddy Combs got. The feds has unlimited funds. It's the federal government. You know what I mean? And like I say, when they want to make an example out of you, they will. Think about the people that um, um, Epstein knew, right? Think about the people that Epstein knew involved in his situation. He knew some high-powered people, right? Presidents, heads of state, senators, governors, all of that, right? And he still went to jail, right? Harvey Weinstein, they mingled with the same, group of people. Your Oprah Winfrey's, to all of those people. Harvey Weinstein is in jail right now. It's serious. And so, like I said, he knew a lot of people, man. They said a lot of people, the Prince of you know, the Prince of Monaco. All of these people was dealing with Jeffrey Epstein. And so when you deal with that, like I said, when they talk about, you know, Sean P. Diddy Combs having money, that's irrelevant at this particular point. You know what I mean? If there was any wrongdoing, there's anybody that could come and corroborate anything, or people feel like, you know what, I feel safe now. I can come forward and, you know, not be under the guise of being threatened or anything like that. You best believe they're gonna talk. They're gonna talk. You know, anybody felt like they, you know, they might have been drugged and taken advantage of. And like I say, once again, don't be surprised if it did happen to males or men or people that you would think that would not or should not come forward and say that. Don't be surprised if it be some of them. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at this particular point. You know, I've looked at that Fabulous video too again from what was that, Drink Champs or something like that. And I just looked at the look on Fabulous face. I was like, oh wow. I didn't look at the look on his face when he was like, yo, won't you come party with me? You know what I mean? He was like, yeah, I you know, I did my birthday with you. Like, yo, would you know what I mean? Like, I was like what? You know. So yeah, man. So yeah, man. Like I said, I just wanted to bring this to you. You know what I mean? Had this conversation. The price of drinks stinks, and we said we leaving the house, save money. And when the guy bought us a drink, we'd be at the bar watching the bartender pour. Yeah, absolutely, Nandy Johnston. Yeah. Like I said, I mean, you know, people be like, yeah, you want a drink? They go to the drink, buy a drink. Man, I ain't drinking that. You know what I mean? I'm not drinking nothing. I don't be buying. I go over there get mine, and I don't drink alcohol no way. So I wouldn't even. Yeah, you know, y'all got ginger ale. I need it in the bottle though. I need it in the bottle. I need that. You know, that when you open the bottle up. You know what I mean? I need to hear that plop plop fizz fizz that go with the little bottle opener. Yeah, I need all of that. If it ain't doing that, you know what? No, I don't want it. You know what I mean? Then I'm looking around as I pour the drink up to my mouth to see who looking at me, to see if I'm doing there or they looking a little too hard. Let me put this back down. You know what I mean? I don't know what's going on. So yeah. Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, I seen the look on Jadakiss face and Nori face too. You know what I mean? And there was a lyric that Jadakiss said at one time. He was like, "People in power is queer." You know what I mean? He said that people in power is queer, and I was like, what the hell was he talking about? Like, oh, okay, I get it now. Like I said, I don't think he wanted that. You know, he didn't want to say somebody's name, but yeah, you know. So yeah, like I said, we're gonna see what happens, man. But those stories, when you go look it up, like you look at the Cassie situation, what she said in the lawsuit, what Little Rod said, and what the latest stories are as far as the FBI looking a little bit deeper into the situation involving Sean P. Diddy Combs. You know, the situations are too similar, if you will. Yeah. Yeah, I'll go to 7-Eleven, 721. You know what I mean? Better yet, I'm going home. I can go in my refrigerator and take the whole jug of water and pour it up to my mouth and not feel like, you know, something gonna be in it or something like that. But yeah, it's sad, man. It's sad. You know what I mean? Like I said, yo, I appreciate y'all coming through, stopping through. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for your conversation. Your boy DELRAY, straight gang.